Hello there, Seraphim17 once again, introducing you to another build showcase. This time I'm showing off my Mundane Santia Spear Hex build, which is a build I don't really use anymore because it's everywhere. The only difference is it uses Resonant Weapon, and I use the Resonant Souls and the Scraps of Life. The point of this build when I made it was to have something interesting in the Bell Tower Covenant, because I didn't get too much PvP at the time and I wanted to try and see what that place was all about. I'd recently learnt of the insanity that is the Santia Spear and its moveset, so I wanted to make a build that used it, and thus this guy was born. So the armour, as you can see, is the Imperil top with the Drakekeeper arms and legs. The Insolent armour, sorry, with the Drakekeeper legs and boots. Altogether, it gives me nearly 700 defense, so he's a bit of a tanky build considering what I usually have on my guy. I'm using the Idol's Chime, just for something different, because I use the Kythra on another build, and obviously there's the crazy Santia Spear. So the stats, as you saw them briefly, 135 again. It is a mundane build, so my lowest stat is 20, which is the one that obviously it's going to scale with on the weapons, and my faith is 26, my dex is 22. The faith is so that I can use the different resonant spells. The dex might be for the Santia Spear. Yeah, it is. It's the exact stats you need to wield it. And my aspirations for this build were to get dragon weapons, because dragon weapons don't scale, just like they didn't in Dark Souls. So I wanted the giant greatsword dragon weapon, and I wanted the dragon straight swords, and I wanted to mundane those weapons. But at the time, I was finding out just how rare those weapons can be when it comes to getting them from a drop, unless you do the dragon PvP. So I tried for a couple of hours on this build to get them, and I was unable to do that. So instead, this guy kind of became my go-to Hex dude. And at the time, I didn't have any other build. And I do have Resonant Weapon. I did try Resonant Weapon a little bit, and I just kind of didn't like it. Like, the Santia Spear, when it's mundane, does decent damage, but it isn't super overpowered. And when you're playing on a build that's in New Game Plus, which a lot of these builds are, you're coming up against people who are level 300, 400. They have massive defense, and it was doing 100 to 200 damage per hit. And that was on these moves, the ridiculous multi-hit moves that everybody likes to spam. Which, say what you will, it's kind of strange. But I had a lot of fun with him, and there's going to be a couple of clips from this particular character, but it's nothing too special, and it's one of those builds that you're not going to see too much from. But there's a lot of people looking for a mundane build, there's a lot of people looking for a hex build, and as you can see, the casting speed on this particular Chime is not great. It's only 105, but it does have some wicked dark on it. It's very light, like all of them are. And the scaling is an A. So if you do not want to go all the way up to, is it 40 faith? Or it might even be 50 faith to use the Chime of... is it the Chime of Want? I don't know why I said Chime, that's very strange. No, it's 40 faith, sorry. So it's a really good alternative, and the cool thing about this build, with the way that its stats are spread, is that it enabled me to mess around with some of the Want weapons. Like I can use the Scythe of Want, which you'll notice is kind of upgraded, and I was going to do some interesting things with the Scythe. It's just one of those builds that kind of got lost in the wayside for obvious reasons. Because as soon as I'd made it, when I was PvPing, I was noticing that a lot of people were using this weapon, and a lot of people have already been using the Hexes once they realised how powerful they were, and thus this build, suffered because of that. But I did like his look. He's blue because he was originally going to be Papa Smurf, and I was running around in a nappy being Papa Smurf, which is quite silly at one point. It didn't really do too much though. But I want to do some build showcases, and this, for all intents and purposes, was my mundane build. Not quite as interesting as the previous one, And the ones that will follow this video will be much more interesting than this guy, but he is literally one of the first I built. I did have a lot of fun with him, but it's a controversial build at this time, and thus you're not going to see me do too much with it. As much as I do love the Santia Spear, it's just not many people in the YouTube comments are very friendly to it, even if you're using it without a buff, even if you're using it creatively, because there's so many people who aren't, and it's understandable. Thank you for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed these little showcases, and as always, you take care now.